Alam mo, ang ganda ng ating topic ngayon. Alam mo kung nung last week, about sa speculative fiction yung ating pinag-usapan sa ating Boses ng Aklat. Pero ngayon, dadako tayo sa futuristic periods, worlds, extraordinary characters, at mga astig na puwersa ng at impluensya ng siyensya at teknolohiya. Ayan na nga, pinag-uusapan natin. Hilig nyo rin ba ang sci-fi books at mga akdang bunga ng malikot na imahinasyon at malawak na pag-iisip? Ngayong hapon, papasukin natin dito sa Boses ng Aklat ang mundo ng sci-fi. Nakakasabay na nga ba tayo sa international works? O ang ating mga Pinoy sci-fi works sa international. Kasama natin sa Read Pinoy ang tinaguriang Pinay super sci-fi author. Dahil sa kanyang best-selling sci-fi books, isa rin siyang comic book creator at associate creative director ng isang ad agency. Kabilang sa kanya mga naisulat ang tablay, Makina, Sagittarius, Skies Above, and Our Next 7 Weeks. Malayo nang narating ng kanyang mga akda gaya ng prestiyosong international books and comic festivals gaya ng Frankfurt Book Fair, London Book Fair, Angoulême International Comics Festival, San Diego Comic Con, at Manila International Book Fair. Sa katunayan, parte siya ng Philippine delegation sa pagiging guest of honor ng bansa sa Frankfurt Book Fair 2025. Mga kaaklatang bayan, live natin ngayong kasama ngayon sa Read Pinoy si Miss Katrina F. Olan. Hi Kat, magandang hapon.
Hi, thank you for joining us.
Hello po, magandang hapon. Salamat po sa pag-imbita ngayong hapon. It's really nice to meet you guys. I watch the channel a lot. I follow the other authors that have been online. So, yeah, so thankful to be here today.
Alright, maraming salamat Kat for your, sharing your precious time with us. Kat, unahin ko lang itanong sa'yo, no? Paano mo i-describe ang Pinoy sci-fi writing scene? At ano yung mga distinct elements ng Pinoy sci-fi stories?
Yes, thank you for that question. Oh, thank you for that question. Yeah, so I think kasi yung Pinoy sci-fi, sobrang unique niya. Bakit? It's a mix of futurism and our local culture. Actually, kasi hindi masyadong ini-expect talaga yung sci-fi, di ba? When you say sci-fi, Filipino does not really come into mind, no? Parang may incongruence sa dalawang words na yan. Because usually, when we think of sci-fi, we think first world, diba? Or global north, technology, progressiveness, no? All these AI, machines, hovercrafts, space, time travel. But that's not really in the milieu of yung Filipino culture natin. Which is why exactly I feel like it is such a rich ground para sa paggawa ng stories, para sa paggawa ng mga kwento. Because of this incongruence, no? So I think in the elements of Filipino sci-fi, you're going to see elements of high-tech, low-life. So ano yun? Mixture ng our societal divide, diba? Mixture of the haves and have-nots ng Filipino society. Also yung mga Filipino cultures, mga Filipino values natin, yung family, yung faith, yung pagka-fatalistic natin, diba? The belief in baka may tadhana, ganon. Also, our different nuances that we picked up dahil sa colonial history natin. For example, the crab mentality, mga colonial mentality, even the woes ng pagka-Pilipino natin, dinadala natin to sa mga kwento. So, that's what I think Pinoy sci-fi is.
Okay, Miss Kat, kasi kanina pinag-uusapan namin ni Lowell, usually when we say sci-fi, we associate it with very modern things, we associate it with the future. Pero possible po ba to write sci-fi, pero ang setting mo ay sometime in the past?
I think kasi there's elements of sci-fi na pwede siyang historical sci-fi, depende sa period. For example, if you've heard of steampunk, which is isang subgenre ng science fiction that is more towards the Victorian period, meaning yung mga Industrial Revolution, I would say from the 1890s to the 1920s, pasok din yun. I know there have been some attempts ng mga local authors, mga local comiceros na gumawa ng comics or ng mga kwento na set in Philippine Revolution, pero may konting sci-fi twist na steampunk. So there are possibilities for as long as there is some element of technology or science involved. For example, yung author na si Jules Verne, hindi naman siya 21st century author. He was all the way maybe almost 100, 200 years ago. But he did think about a lot of scientific concepts. Like, siya yung nag-write ng 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, di ba? Siya yung Journey to the Center of the Earth. And then he had this one where he went to space. So, there's no specific time for as long as there is the existence of technology sa kwento. Yun po.
Ang ganda nun, di ba? Okay. So, Miss Kat, pag-usapan naman po natin yung inyong works. So, meron po ba kayong mga relevant themes na tinatalakay po or itatalakay pa sa inyong mga future works po?
Okay, thank you po. So, I think kasi science fiction is a great genre to write. Specifically for me, I really love it. Kasi I would say mas grounded siya. Mas malapit siya sa reality versus, let's say, fantasy. Kasi when it comes to fantasy po, may mga elements ng magic, di ba? May gods, may mga pantheons, may magical elements. Of course, syempre, hindi naman siya parang in a void. Parang siyang spectrum. For example, sa sci-fi, merong namang Star Wars where there's the Force, right? The Force is some sort of unexplainable element that connects all of the people in Star Wars. So, there is some sort of mysticism. Pero para sa akin, yung mas gusto kong isulat is yung mas grounded sa reality. Meaning, it really examines our society, our problems as Filipinos, our conflicts, whether that be generational traumas, historical traumas. I think the ones that really popped out in my work, I would say, I prepared this, I would say there are 7. So 7 things that I think cut through all of my books, no? Yung first is, which I wrote sa tablay, 1, technology and ethics. So the whole story of tablay really revolves around the question na what use is technology if it is made at the expense of our humanity. Diba? Dapat may progress, but it cannot be at the expense of us losing our humanity, right? So there's a certain war or conflict. Those are themes that are found in Tablay. It's about long war. It's about this kind of gray morality that in war there really are no winners. It's just this cycle of violence until everything is eaten up. There are no bad guys or good guys. They're just people fighting for their own selfish interests. Another one that I really want to drive is history. So makikita nyo sa makina and sa tablay. And of course the tablay, the graphic novel. It's about how history might have dictated the present, but the future is what we decide it to be. So, it's also important talaga as people that we never forget, di ba? Especially, may quote si Jose Rizal, di ba? Sabi in English, sorry, I don't know if sinabi niya to in English or in Filipino originally. Pero sabi niya, he who does not know how to look back from where he came from, does not know where he is going.
Oo, sabi in Tagal, in Filipino, ang hindi marunong lumingon sa pinanggalingan, hindi makararating sa kanyang paroroonan.
Ayun na. So parang malayo na, pero malayo pa.
Yes.
So it's just this whole thing of, kasi in Tablay, there is a lot of, I would say my work din is very political, na it really examines kung anong nangyari sa bansa, but in alternate future. Na if we don't remember where, if we forget our past, we are doomed to repeat the same mistakes. Yan naman yung sinabi ni Winston Churchill, diba? Na those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it. And then finally, yung third is mga working class themes and street life. Yung makikita natin sa makina. I think something that is so unique about Filipino is kind of like our daily lives and working themes. Especially sa makina, makikita nyo yung mga, let's say, mga street vendors, mga delivery riders natin, di ba? So, we'll not name brands, but mga food delivery riders natin. Mga day-to-day blue-collar workers, what are their struggles, di ba? Yung mga, for example, I have one story sa makina about delivery rider. but he is traveling through this toxic wasteland. Pero kailangan pa niya ng isa pang ride para makamit ng quota, para makabonus naman siya sa kanyang app, 'di ba? So it's like that. It's really focusing on the minutiae and the socio-political zeitgeist of Filipino street life to show how rich our culture is. Yun po. Tapos mythology, of course. Mythology.
Ayun ang galing, no? Talagang ang intricate din, ang busisi ng, I'm sure, ng process, ng creative process dito ni Miss Kat at saka yung mga iba pa nating Pinoy sci-fi authors. Miss Kat, punta ko dun sa creative, na pag-uusapan na lang din sa creative process. Gaano kabusisi ito, yung paggawa ng world or yung tinatawag nating world building? For example, let's focus dito sa tablay na ginawa mong, anong setting ng tablay nga po?
Is New Intramuros.
New Intramuros.
So, Tablay takes place sa New Intramuros. So, parang NCR, sa Intramuros, Old Intramuros is just Fort Santiago, yung mga peripheries niya, ayun, yung the base of the Spanish colonization. But, I wanted reinterpretation of that. So, ngayon, in Tablay, New Intramuros is basically NCR bubble. So imagine, nung naka-lockdown tayo, yung NCR bubble, parang napaligid siya ng mga, I would say, walls. Like if you watch, I was kind of inspired by Pacific Rim, Attack on Titan, yung mga ganon, yung anime. Meron siya large walls, and then outside of it, there are vast mountains and jungles filled with these aswangs. Pero yung aswang sa Tablay, mga mechanical version ng mga aswangs natin. Aswangs, I took it in the broad sense na parang malevolent mythological creatures, pero robots. So mga mekatikbalang, mekakapre, mekatiktik, ganon. Ganon yung effect niya.
Gaano katagal itong pagbubuo mo ng mundo nitong Tablay, for instance po?
So mga 9 months po yung pre-writing. So parang nanganak talaga ako ng Tablay. As in, it took 9 months for me to research. For example, research is so important to me. Actually, sa lahat ng proseso sa paggawa ng book, yung pinaka-paborito ko talaga is world building. Kasi that's how I work as an author. I like setting the stage. I love setting the stage first, the chessboard, for where the chess pieces will play. Why? Because that dictates, it's kind of like the system that dictates how high, like your ceiling and your floor, for how high or how low your story can go. So sa paggawa ng World of Tablay, I was inspired by a lot of things. First is, of course, I was very influenced by my own family history. Because I came from a family na we're really fighters. As in, I have people who fought. My lolo was a veteran sa World War II. March siya sa Death March. Out of all things, nakamarch siya sa Death March. He fought in the jungles. I've also had relatives talaga na mga katipunero. So we have the dagger. We have the dagger of one of our aunt paha, as in babae, as in babaeng warrior. So, mga katipunerang warrior. And then, what do you call it? Just inspired by all of these World War I and World War II stories. Of course, kasi when I developed the world of Tablay, ayoko magiging parang anime style. I mean, of course, it's anime because it's mecha. But I wanted to have this realistic retelling, grounded, utilitarian new world. I took a lot of inspiration from World War I and World War II stories. And then, after that, especially what happened here sa Philippines, of course, also with the Bakunawa bomb that was inspired by, of course, the little boy, Fat Man, the atomic bombs, Oppenheimer, mga ganon. So, I think that plus, I did research on, of course, mythological creatures. So, ito yung pinaka-importante for me kasi we have to be respectful sa source material, especially since mga indigenous properties and knowledges din yun. So, syempre, as much as we want to interpret it in our own ways, there still has to be respect to the source material of our myths, diba?
Okay.
So, that involves research, consultation, diba, sensitivity reading, para ma-respeto lahat ng sources.
Okay, so Miss Kat, we heard na you're going to be at the Frankfurt Book Fair or the Frankfurter Book Messe. So how excited po are you for the Pinoy sci-fi writing community and readers po?
Yes, like it's such an honor kasi we will be going with people who really represent the community. For example, I think well, I don't want to spoil the names of the people that will be there, but we have some of the most prestigious writers who really represent the country. I think it is an opportunity din, more than anything, kasi we're the guest of honor. So it's important that people from around the world know our stories. So by that avenue alone, makikita nila na we have a rich literary culture. It might not be the same as different countries, but given our culture and our breadth of I guess genres, 'di ba? Everything from romance, science fiction, fantasy, non-fiction, educational. It is literature is a picture of the nation. So I hope that the event will cater to that.
Ayun, napag-uusapan na lang din natin yung participation ni Miss Kat, no, at saka ng Pilipinas bilang guest of honor sa FBM,
sa
no?
Germany.
Sa inyong palagay, Miss Kat, ano yung pangunahing unique selling points itong ating mga Pinoy sci-fi works pagdating sa international market? Ano yung
international appeal,
yes,
diba?
Yes. So actually, I did a talk on this before sa Super Manila Comic Con. My talk or my online on-stage dissertation, actually it's about supercharging Filipino sci-fi for the world stage. So as someone who has started as a homegrown writer, especially actually looking back at my journey as an author, I guess you can say that I really came a long way kasi first time ko 2017, I knew no one in the publishing community, literary community, comics community. I self-published my book. I went to my first ever event was sa Comic Con in Diket sa Bayanihan Center. So shout out kay Sir John Sherry and the Comic Con group. So I didn't know everyone. That was the first time talaga na I was exposed to this whole underground world of comics lit. Actually, di ba when I'm saying underground, kasi hindi pa talaga established ang comics and it's still a rising community. Comics, literature, even the world doesn't know about it yet. So hopefully this becomes an avenue. What I noticed talaga is people love the unique blend of science fiction and Filipino-net because it is totally unexpected. They always hear kasi of science fiction, yun nga, yung parang Star Wars, Star Trek.
Very modern and futuristic.
Modern. Example, mecha specifically, what sa Japan, Gundam, diba? Evangelion, what's that? Mazinger Z. Sa US naman, sa West, what are the kind of super robots? Pacific Rim. There's also Iron Man, Marvel. And then that makes me think talaga. Okay, so I'll go to my answer. Maglalatag muna ako ng why I think it's so important. How are we so quick to love Western sci-fi, Japanese sci-fi, but we are so quick to hate our own, di ba? Parang when Filipinos come out with books or movies, our harshest critics aren't even the foreigners, they're ourselves as Filipinos. We're saying, ay, copycat lang yan ng Iron Man or copycat lang yan ng Gundam. Wala tayong original ideas. And then that's exactly one of the problems that we are trying to address, when we go to these international festivals, when there is a win for a Filipino abroad. Let's say Ren Galeno, diba? Winning the Pulitzer Prize and talking about the St. Louis Zoo and the indigenous people on display. It's showing that posible pala as Filipinos to make something world. Now the way into that is first to break free of this own ceiling that we've made for ourselves, yung glass ceiling that we've made for ourselves, saying we're not good enough for the world stage. That's why I think with that sort of mindset, that's what leaves us, or that's what keeps us at this level. Kasi when we produce books, we're only producing it for the local market in mind, when we should be dreaming higher. Because that, we don't look, kasi I think, gosh, honestly, okay, we're on air. Pero no, this is the truth talaga. Honest to goodness. There are a lot of layers of misunderstandings and conflicts happening within the community itself because we're only competing with ourselves. Why are we fighting with ourselves as competitors when we should work as one?
Right.
Opo,
When we
ano.
should work as one and uplift the community as one.
Yes,
And yung mga
opo.
competitors natin
we
will be
agree.
the other countries. We're gonna show them that we're as good as them. Why are we fighting with each other? It
Yes,
just does
okay.
not make sense. So this is
Okay.
my call to all the publishers and authors of the Philippines. Please
Yes,
do
we
not
agree.
fight each other. Let there be peace on earth.
Okay.
And let's
ano
just
naman.
help each other and support each other.
Yes.
Because the only way that we are going to win on the world stage is if we fight as one. So,
And Miss
So,
Kat,
kaya-
speaking of all, why don't you invite our viewers po to
Correct.
support, your books and future book-related events po?
yes. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. I know we went a bit over time, pero I'll just leave it at this na let's support. So first of all, let's support my book. So Tablay, ito naman si Tablay, the graphic novel. Okay, and then Makina, which is my graphic anthology with Ian Santa Maria. But let's not stop there. It's important, especially as people who don't know the Philippine literature, please support all of the publishers, big, small. Especially, I feel like those publishers that are already established, we should help others be pulled up, no? Kahit yung mga up-and-coming authors, there are so many closeted young authors na walang confidence to share their work. So I'm telling you now, we have to support the young budding authors especially kasi sila yung future ng country natin. If we don't propagate the stories, if we don't support and incubate these upcoming stories, we won't have this rich bench of stories
Yes. Opo.
to bring to the world. And of course, my last point is, when we dream big, we have to deliver. Meaning, we have to make sure that our stories are of world class. May crafting. So, wag tayo maging lazy. Diba sometimes kasi, when we think, ay, pang Philippine market lang to, or pang isang event lang to, we kind of don't mind the grammar. Kasi yan yung na-notice ko sa mga Pinoy works where we can, yung grammar, yung finish, yung texture of the finish of the book. Let's make it the best that we can because this is a representation of our country.
Yes po.
So, yes,
We
that's all I have to
definitely
say.
agree.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I wish you had more time.
Yeah,
Opo,
oo nga, no?
maraming salamat, Miss Kat.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Miss Kat. Nakasama natin ang Pinay sci-fi author na si Miss Katrina F. Olan. Thank you so much po.